Hello everybody and welcome back to Jake's RC Stuff, and we are here with the Flex Innovations Yak 5510E. There it is. And not to sound like one of those sort of typical car YouTubers, but I have to build this plane today because I am leaving this evening, and I bought this as a plane to fly at the beach. So, this is the night version as well, so we can fly it at night. Other accessories that I have bought are the AerobatX light controller. So you could do like flashing lights and pulsing lights and things like that. And batteries from HobbyRC. These are... These are 140C 1550 milliamp hour 6S batteries. Now I did buy 3 of these, and one of them had a dead cell. Checked it out of the box, cell 1 dead, 0%. Messaged HobbyRC and they sent a new one out the next day. So really happy with HobbyRC's service. Again, bit of a rush for this, so I'm not going to sort of draw it too much, but yeah, HobbyRC, really great service, so thanks to them for sorting out an issue. And I've had things in the past where I used to recommend a shop for computer bits, because there was the good prices, they were local, and they were always fast to ship. But the first time I ever had a problem, I had a hard drive that wouldn't, anything larger than a Word document, it didn't like and would fall over. It took them a month to confirm it was faulty, and I stopped using them. But no, HobbyRC, yeah, sorted the problem out immediately. I don't think I've got to send the old battery back, because I'm fairly sure you can't send a faulty battery in the post. So I will have a look at that battery at a later date. There's a chance it could be the balance lead that's just not right. I can take the battery apart, check the cell, see what it is. Unfortunately, I don't really have much use for a 5-cell battery, but yeah, that's the batteries we're using. Comes with plenty of stickers, because you get some of each battery, and some AerobatX stickers. So this is the pink version with the lights. So let's get this box open and see what we get. Okay, so this is how it comes packed in the box. Loads and loads of reflective tape, and the book manual was down here. The first thing it talks about is fitting the landing gear, then the tail wheel, and then you have to glue the rudder on, unfortunately. Normally wouldn't be a problem, as I say, because I'm doing this in a bit of a rush. Bit of a pain in the arse. So I'm going to skip the undercarriage bit. Gotta fit the tail wheel before you put the rudder on. So I'm going to fit the tail wheel and then fit the rudder to the plane. But let's actually just get the parts out of this box so we can see what's happening. Okay, so here is all, well, a lot of the foam parts laid out. The wings are behind me. We've got a bit for over the undercarriage and some side force generators, bag of bits, wheels, stuff for the flight controller. Inside, that is a very cheap, like Coke bottle feeling canopy. EC3, which is a pain in the arse. And it's going to be a pain to get that flight controller out of there, so I might just solder up an adapter. Area for your receiver. It does come with Flex's own version of that flight control, the light thing. The light thing was 35 quid, which seems a bit expensive, but never mind. This is the one that comes with it. Yeah, where is the one? That is their one for comparison, so it definitely is a different unit, but yeah, that's fine. We will deal with that in a bit. So yeah, we've got the sort of light stuff. One thing that I will say out the box is that it looks as if it's very much they imagine you put it together and leave it together forever type of plane, even though there is like thumb screws and stuff, because there's no like extensions for anything. There's no little extensions out of here. These on the wing side are just meant to plug in, but never mind. We shall start. So what we've got to do, we've got to fit the tail wheel. It looks like it is already fitted, which is a little strange. Maybe that's the part you don't have to do anymore, and which means that the first part is going to be gluing this into this recess here with 30-minute epoxy, which I hope I have some of. So yeah, let's get things prepped and have a look at sticking that together. Another thing that I'm going to say is a little bit of a quality question is, you know, out the box there are sort of a few dings on it all around this sort of front area, which is a bit of a shame, but for what I bought it for, it's going to get dings and sand and stuff all over it, so I'm not particularly bothered, but I know some people would be, and that's fair enough. The other thing as well I've just noticed is, why is there a hole here in the battery tray where you want Velcro? But that wasn't what I was actually looking at. The other thing as well is they seem really bad at doing plastics. I mean, look at that. I'm sure I had a similar issue with the RV8 as well. Gap there. And that's not, you sort of clamp it together a bit, but it's not because they're not clamped together, that's it. So yeah, but I'm not even sure if we're going to put these on, because if it's going to be taken off of sand, it might be best without those. But anyway, let's go back to try and sort this glue out. Okay, it's gluing. It all kind of happened very quickly at once. So flex the hinge, make sure it's all right, because it wasn't. It did need sort of cracking to get moving. Then mixed up some epoxy, tried to be precise. Luckily we did have the right epoxy. 30-minute Z epoxy. Heated it up with a little plinth heater under there, and it was too runny. It like exploded every time I took the cap off, and it was far too runny to try and mix up. And yeah, it was a little bit of a nightmare. So yeah, what I did was yeah, tried to do it weighed properly on a scale, but it was so runny, it was just going everywhere. It was a nightmare. Eventually I got some mixed up, put it in here. There are some depressions in the foam. You only apply it to the fuselage side. There's 3 depressions in the foam for the hinges. They also recommend double check the hinges, and if you need to CA them in if there's any loose. That wasn't on mine. So put a load of epoxy in, missing out those areas, as I said. Then there's 2 sort of round domes that come out. Make sure you cover them. Put it in, bit of tape to hold it in. Bit of the old bog roll to make sure any oozing is got rid of, and that's it. So while that sets for half an hour, so I did that at 0:00. I don't know which 0:00, so I've got my watch on because I didn't want to get glue on the strap. So half an hour and it should have sort of tack set, so we could be a little bit more exuberant with it, but again, need to be careful with it until then. So what I'm going to do is have a look at building our undercarriage. So you've got the alloy. I'm going to see what it looks like with the spats on, and of course you've got a couple of wheels. So let me get the book open and have a look at trying to put this together. Yeah, these plastics are really disappointing. I mean, look at that. And they're mucky. Like I've rubbed the mud off this one, but yeah, they're not actually white because of how muddy they are. Sort of sticky brown resin. Maybe they've been on the good stuff at the factory, but yeah. So take it apart, and we'll see how these fit together somewhat, and see how much tire we're going to have sticking out, and see whether it'll be good enough for the sand or not. I will have screwdrivers there that I can use to take this apart, but yeah. Right, back in a sec. Okay, so it's unlabelled. I believe this is the undercarriage screw bag. The 2 longer screws to actually fix it into the plane, and the 2 shorter ones for the wheel pant. So you can see we've got 2 holes. That's for the wheel, that's for the spat. These smaller screws will hold that spat onto here, but obviously we need to make sure the spat is pointing in the right direction. Okay, so annoyingly this wheel pant's all right. What I had to do on this one, as you might be able to see, is I got a 3.5mm drill bit because it's a 3mm hole. I just had to clean up the hole there. So if that screw doesn't look like it'll fit because this hole is too small, it will do, because look at the nut. The nut's fine. So I just have opened that out slightly. I'll give it a little file because there's a little bit of a burr sticking out of that. And then once that is done, we can actually screw these bits together. Okay, it's fitted. And now, so this comes off. Slide the wheel through, put this nut back on. Here is what it looked like before. So yeah, take that off, slide it on, tighten it up, put a spanner on here, put another spanner socket on there to tighten it up. Okay, undercarriage done. Just not fitted yet, plenty of room under there. So now we need to go on the side force generators. Let's take a look. So the audio broke for this section, but basically, yeah, the side force generator goes on there. It fits in with like a plug, and it fits very well and very snug. So yeah, some medium super glue isn't going to be a problem with here. And as you can see, the Tiger Shark are already in. They're glued in, and I never actually fitted the ones that came with my 30cc version. So it's nice to actually see them fitted to a yak for once. So again, no audio. I have put the screw in for the hinge, and it is a little bit sort of creaky and tough when I try and move the rudder backwards and forth. Eventually, the way that I fix it, if I don't say it in a future clip, is that if I unscrew the screw slightly, it stops creaking. So I just done the screw up too tight, and yeah, I removed the masking tape, and we're all ready for the next step. Probably cut this clip short because I have no audio for it. Hooray!
Okay, so first model, down the receiver, much didn't work. Turns out we need to do the big cell calibration, but if you don't know what that is, it is throttle all the way up, plug it in, it can start beeping, sort of beep beep, beep beep, beep beep. After the third one and before the fourth one, throttle down, make sure your most protection switch is off, so you're actually doing something. It'll then do beep, 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 go through all the cells, and be happy. And yeah. This is a very video we'll put back to 6 years and then put a 4-minute timer. Yeah, so then one take that, I think 135, but let's just that and take all a couple of this. So let's have a look at that. And might check out a video of this and go through that. Okay, so after 60 minutes, camera is set up, I tested it. That's the camera left in there. We're just going to go back to the beginning of the book. And now I took the indicator. I have taken the tape off as well to get opposite calculator tape was, but somehow she did that. So, so move it or leave it. And I think it's going to leave it because you don't really know unless you're looking at it. So I have a great bit of a stick up. So, yeah, let me get this model upside down and then hit the indicator. Okay, so can't remember where we're up to. I've also taken the AirPod out, so hopefully the sound's a bit better. I have attached the carriage, put tape on, and then someone decided they wanted to use the 3D printer. So while they were huffing about with that, I have installed the receiver, so double-sided foam tape under that. ESC goes into 3. This goes into regular S-Bus. This I'm going to use for now, but I will replace it with something a little bit thicker gauge, but it'll do for 3 flights or whatever. There's nothing going to cover that. Taped in the antennas, one up here, one down there, give it 90 degrees to each other. So yeah, what are we on to next? I've also rescued the propeller out of the box that nearly got thrown away. Right, so now we're on to fitting the tailplane. So tube through, sides on, need to room to connect the lights, and then bolt it in by the looks of it. So let's get that started. So control rod through, tailplane on, connect up the light, slide it together and put the bolt through there on both sides and it'll look like that. Okay, so tailplane is on. The next thing it says to do is actually fit the wings, which seem really bizarre because I need to get here to do the control lock, so I don't really understand that idea. But never mind. I've also been looking at the light controller, and apparently, even though it clearly has a 6-cell connector and that one, apparently you should use a small 3S battery instead. There it is. So yes, the manual does say you have to use a small 3S battery. Just for this week, I am going to use batteries as it looks like it should do, but apparently isn't. And I'll order some little 3S batteries when I get back. And I'll only have the lights on when I'm actually flying it at night to reduce risk to the batteries. But yeah, temperature control rods, so they tell you where they need to go. And the N1 ones are all done, I believe. It's just the elevator rudder we need to do. So, yep. Power it all up, use the gyro kill switch, blah blah blah, line everything up, bish bash bosh. Let's get to it. Okay, so that's roughly how it's going to look. I've also actually had servos moving and stuff. I had to reverse channel 6, the gyro kill, because I always have all my switches sort of up or away as safe, so I want the gyro on for that. But yeah, I might trace that back around, I'm not sure. That's in there, and that needs to go about there, I believe. But I need to use both hands with this. So I've got to, as you can see, use a pair of pliers at the back. If the other way around, I could have used my nut drivers, but I cannot. So yeah, let's get those fitted. I'm going to say the diagrams really do help you out. So this rudder servo horn is really, out of focus, is really hard to sort of actually get perpendicular. That's the least out. If you move it further this way, it's more out, so that's the closest we can get with that. And with the linkages finally on, I believe it's now time to fit the wings. I also need to work out what I'm doing with this flight controller, not flight controller, but the lighting controller, because it needs a channel to work, and all the channels here are technically in use. So I either need to go into the Potenza programming, the Aurora programming, and try and see if I can get a raw channel 7 out of this, in which case I'll plug that straight in. If not, what I can do, find the right bit of paperwork, I can put it into this mode here. So by default it's 1, 2, 3, 4, S bus 2, or I could have it 9, 10, 11, 12, S bus 2. So I would make the motor run on channel 11 in the radio, and have like channel 9 be my switch for the lights. I haven't decided yet. I'll plug in the potential, I think, and do it that way, because what I don't want to do is, if this model ever gets scrapped or whatever, is I put this receiver into a model and get really confused why 1 and 3 aren't working, and it's because it's actually 9 and 10 or whatever. So yeah. Another thing is, I'm definitely going to put some Velcro on this battery on the underneath if I can, because that is far too easy to slip. But yes, let's before I put the wings on, actually, let me plug this Potenza Aurora in and see if we can get anywhere with that. So let me go and get the laptop out. Okay, so Aurora configurator is up, it's plugged in, I have connected, and then read from the Aurora, I've gone to servo ports on this top left, and I've changed to servo port S7. And output type is going to be channel 7 aux 2, I'm going to call it channel 7 aux 2. And the source is going to be channel 7 aux 2, use gyro. I want to set that to no if possible, but I don't think I can, because I think it's an aux, so that's fine. Output mapping, normal, subtrim, pulse, blah 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 blah. Okay, right, all to Aurora. Right to Aurora complete. So now, hopefully, I'll plug some lights in, I can make them flash and do things, but I need to also set channel 7 on the transmitter to use one of the sliders on the side. This is probably one of the only things I can come up with where actually the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons on the Radio Master would have been really helpful, but it's on the futon, so never mind, let's have a go at getting that sorted. And he said, let there be light. So there we are, that is on. We've then got twinkle. Strobe, I think that's called rotating or something. I can't remember what that is. Sort of it moves from one side of the plane to the other, I think. Then you've just got navigation strobe. No, I think this one is the rotation, so it goes round all the parts. Obviously we need to make sure things are plugged in the right thing when we get there, but and then off. So that's it. I'll try and name them properly on the screen if I remember, but yeah, so that's that working. I'm now actually trying to fit the wings and see what happens with that. Something I've immediately noticed that I've put this tube in is that receiver area is very close to the wing tube, which is carbon, so I don't really like that. I'm being driven slightly mad here. What was I even saying? Oh yes, the receiver area down there I don't like because how close it is to this. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have it up here and have it orientated that way, sort of back here, so it's looking forward and back of it, both sides technically, so that whichever orientation the model's in, we should be fine. But we do have movement of everything. That is fine. I'm a bit nervous about this rudder. It does seem to sort of set. Doesn't always go back to centre, if you see what I mean. Let me just, one sec. Okay, so that issue with the rudder, fixed it by loosening the screw in there a little bit, and that fixes it. So if you're having that issue, that's how you fix the rudder, not going back to the middle. Now it goes them back to the middle perfectly, regardless of which side you go, so that is good. Okay, so for the first time, the model is together. Now, it did take quite a bit of effort to get this wing on, so be careful with that. And I do need to adjust these, because it's got a load of right aileron in at the minute, which I'm not sure should be there by default. So we'll alter the control rods on those to move it out, but that is it. And that is the sort of going around mode, which I think may just be on the... I don't know which way around this should be. I think that is meant to cycle wings and it's cycling fuselage. I think I need to swap them. I'm also going to sort of put which is which to make sure it looks right. But if I go to... Don't know, that's a bit weird. Okay, we'll swap them around though, because I think it's changing the tail, which run off the fuselage ones instead of the wings. So let me swap them around. Yeah, turns out I confused myself. So off, we then have lights going around in a circle. We then have strobe. We then have just wings going back and forth. Strobe again, maybe, and then twinkle, which is just kind of random light flashes, and then fully on. So there we are, that does work. So let's get these ailerons sorted. I'm going to mark those up so we know which is which, and I think I am... no, for now I will just use those wires as they are. It does make sense that 2 is the one to the left, so the plus switches you commit them out. It's just these that make no sense to nobody, that and no book and no instructions to Google. So yeah, I will do that. I'll then do a range check, which will be pretty boring, and then we'll go from there. So see you all in a sec. Okay, so use a string to the CFG. It means the canopy wasn't on, but it's close enough. Anything, it'll be weight in the front. That's just a bit of Velcro to keep these apart. But with the range check done, CFG done, I'm gonna have one last flick through the manual, but I think it's all done and ready to go. So we can get the batteries charged and we can get ready to go. So if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. I know it's been a bit scattered, I'm gonna have to edit the hell out of this, but anyway. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I need watch time, that's the main thing. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.